Good evening. Right now, Metro Police are desperately searching for the person or people responsible for killing a man and a woman.
I got a male down in the middle of the street.
Breaking news now, a triple shooting leaves 2 dead.
Never expect for somebody to tell you your loved one was murdered.
This Labor Day will mark 42 years that have haunted the St. Cloud family.
30 years. 30 years this family has waited for answers.
A couple months go by, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you really start to struggle with the idea that the case might not get solved and that somebody might get away with murder.
It's very unfortunate that we have any cold cases at all, and certainly unfortunate that we have as many as we do. And that's why Ryan's work and the work of Project Cold Case is so important.
Hello, thanks for joining me tonight. My name's Ryan Backman. I'm the founder and executive director of Project Cold Case, and you'll have to bear with me a little bit tonight. It has been an exhausting day. I just walked back to the office from the state attorney's office. Melissa Nelson, who you saw in that little clip that just played, she's the elected state attorney here in our judicial circuit, and we just had a meeting with the family and then another follow-up meeting. And so I've been talking a lot the last 2 hours and then rushing back to the office where it is still 90 degrees outside. So sorry if I'm a little short of breath and exhausted. Appreciate everybody chiming in, commenting, letting us know where you're from. Gadsden, Alabama, Summerfield. We appreciate you taking the time to chime in and join us tonight. We're just going to do a little Q&A session. So if you have some questions about cold cases, please post them in the comments. Hi, Derek and Amy. Canada to Jacksonville. So we got a good group already joining us. Before we get too far along, I want to show you something, and it keeps starting to play without my permission. So I think I need to show this real quick, and then we can talk about it a little bit. We have a partnership with local media. We encourage our families to have partnerships with their local media. We can facilitate that and assist with that sometimes. First Coast News here locally is one of those partnerships. They do a series called Unsolved. If you're a regular to our Facebook Live, you have seen Katie Jeffries join us quite regularly. And she does all of the cold case stories for that Unsolved segment for First Coast News. Not all of the cases come from us. Sometimes she reaches out directly to law enforcement. Sometimes law enforcement reaches out directly to her. We obviously encourage law enforcement and media that when they come across a family of a cold case to refer them to us or send us their contact information or give them our contact information. So sometimes they do stories that are not one of, hey, Terry, up in New York nowadays, not you, Siri, Terry. So anyway, this was one of those cases that would have fit our criteria. It's a missing person cases. If you've watched this, you know that we only accept missing person cases where the victim is believed to be deceased and foul play is suspected with both law enforcement and the family. There's just a lot of missing persons organizations out there that are super helpful, that do a great job, and we don't need to duplicate services. So that's not our main focus. It's also, those of you that know our organization know that I started this organization because my dad was a murder victim. And so that's our focus, although we recognize that some missing persons are unsolved murders as well. And hey, Chad. Hey, Karina, Nevada and Wisconsin. I'm going to cover the map tonight. And Charlie's joining us too. Hey, Charlie, great to see you. Anyway, so sometimes those cases are not through us. Sometimes we don't have contact with the family. This is one of those cases where we didn't have family contact. It was not submitted to our site, but we shared Katie's story because, quite honestly, she does these stories all the time. Most of the time, they are families that we have connections with. So we share those for her. Hi, Debbie. As well. And she did a unsolved on a missing persons case out of Jacksonville Beach about 2 months ago. And we found out this week that that case was resolved. And here we go again with this thing's going to talk to me, even though I don't want it to. So give me a second there. That's why I'm going to play it, because it keeps popping up advertisements every time I've got it paused. So this was a missing persons case out of Jacksonville Beach. It was not one of our cases, but we shared it because we think it's important to get this information out there. And ultimately, the case ended up being resolved. And in what was shocking to, I think, law enforcement, the family, to Katie, the victim was actually alive and well. I guess well, I'm assuming well. She was alive and living in another state. She saw from what I understand, she saw the segment shared via social media and called her family to let them know that she was alive. So I want to show this case. Oh, Massachusetts too. All right. I want to. Thanks for joining us, Margaret. I want to show this segment in a screen share, and we'll see. I'm just not very good at this stuff yet, so give me a second.
Police believed to be dead. Well, just over 2 months ago, we brought you the case of Melissa Gormley. She's a Jacksonville Beach woman. Police believed to be dead.
Hold on.
She seemingly vanished. It was part of our Unsolved series led by On Your Side's Katie Jeffries, who brings us this really incredible update on the case from Melissa's family.
In May, our series Unsolved profiled the disappearance of Melissa Gormley of Jacksonville Beach. The mother of 4 had not been seen or heard from by her family in nearly 5 years. The Jacksonville Beach Police Department confirmed it was investigating her disappearance, but had very few leads. No activity on her credit cards, nothing on her social security number, and family and friends had not heard from her. So she was presumed likely dead. But after our story aired, she was found alive. Her mother, Alicia Burgess, tells me a few days after our Unsolved story ran, Melissa, who was living in a different state, saw it online and reached out to her father. Authorities confirmed it was in fact Melissa, and she was alive and unharmed. To say detectives were surprised to find her alive is an understatement. Detective Corporal Dan Watts with the Jacksonville Beach Police say they had an officer from the local police department where she was found respond and confirm through identifying tattoos and personal identification that she was in fact Melissa. Unfortunately, we don't have many details about why she left our area years ago and did not contact her family. Police say they are still looking into those circumstances around her disappearance years ago. But we are glad to report that her family now has confirmation that she is alive and unharmed. And that has been the goal of the Unsolved series all along, to help families and law enforcement bring in new tips and leads that could help get some answers in these cases. So we are very excited to report tonight that the disappearance of Melissa Gormley of Jacksonville Beach has been solved. Katie Jeffries, First Coast News, On Your Side.
So that's the segment. I want to address a couple of things, and I'm glad Amy made a comment. I'm going to share this comment actually, because this is something that we will not tolerate and stand for is people making negative comments about the family. Not you, Amy. We appreciate your comment, but she says, I was reading comments from her sister last night on a news post. People are so quick to judge this woman, and we don't even have all the details. And we really appreciate that perspective, Amy, because we don't have the details. And quite honestly, even if we had the details, it is not our place to judge Melissa or her family and what she has been through. We have no idea why she made the decisions that she made. And quite honestly, it's none of our business. What we are supportive of is, and what we appreciate is that this format of using social media to share cold cases does reach far, and it reaches the right people sometimes, not as often as we'd like, but this is further proof that these cases are important to get out into the public eye and keep in the public eye. It is not our place to judge Melissa on why she left or why she didn't contact her family. Like I said, it's really none of our business. We are glad that she is alive and that she did reach out to her family, and we respect her wishes to handle that internally. We think that's probably the best way to handle it. And we're supportive of her and her family. Again, this was not a case that was a family that we had worked with and dealt with. This was not anything that we were a part of and were able to get in front of and kind of assist that family maybe in how to handle that call. I don't think anybody was expecting it. But it is important to us that our followers, that our viewers, that our supporters share that support with other victims and their families. And you will see on our cases all the time that we remind commenters that speculating is not always helpful and certainly not judging. It sounds like, Amy, from the comments you were reading, that it was, it was really, really just inconsiderate and nasty. And I see you commented again, said she was a victim of abuse. We aren't in her shoes, and I certainly share your thoughts, Amy. And I don't feel like anybody should stand in judgment of Melissa for the decisions that she's made and obviously felt forced to make. So the reason I wanted to show that segment was because, again, I want to highlight the importance of raising awareness for these cases and letting victims and their families know that they are not forgotten, that somebody does care about them and love them, that people want to know what happened to them. People don't want them to be forgotten. Amy just commented again and said that Melissa's sister was explaining as much as she could. I feel for them. And, quite honestly, Melissa's sister should not be in that position to be forced to explain anything to anybody that she doesn't know. That's an internal family issue that they should have the respect of the community and the privacy to heal and focus. I can't imagine what it's like to believe your loved one is dead and then find out they're not. And then I can't imagine what it's like to have to make the tough decision to disappear and leave everybody behind. I don't pretend to know what that is, and I would never want to know that or wish that on anybody. And we would nothing but support from us at Project Cold Case for Melissa and her family. We hope that they are able to heal and that everybody is able to come to a place of peace and that they can continue a relationship in whatever fashion that is healthy for all of them involved. So the focus again is when it comes to missing persons, this is actually a really good example of why we struggle with assisting missing persons, because even sometimes when foul play is suspected, it's not foul play. And I have this fear that one day somebody's going to submit a missing persons case to Project Cold Case and say, yes, we believe they're dead. And then some sweet mother is going to be Googling her son or daughter's name, and our website is going to pop up. And then right there in the midst of all of these known unsolved murder victims is their loved one. And it's going to re-victimize them or devastate them or upset them. And I don't want to ever do that. And it's why, if you're a family of a missing person with foul play suspected, it's why sometimes it takes us a while to post those cases, to share them on our website and do spotlights on them. It's not because we don't believe they're victims. It's not because we don't believe they deserve the attention. It's because there are other agencies that are more equipped to handle those cases than Project Cold Case. Our focus is on unsolved murders and homicides. And while I said earlier, there is that overlap of a lot of missing persons are victims of unsolved murder, we have to be very careful. And this is one of those cases where it could have been difficult for the family. It could have been difficult for the victim, to see their picture up on our site, or to see, for the family to see their picture up on our site. So just a little insight into, we get a lot of questions, we get a lot of submissions about unsolved or about missing persons. And that's kind of why we're a little bit vague about it, why we do a little bit more due diligence on it. And so, please don't ever feel like we don't care, or that we don't feel like that victim is worth it, or that person is worth it. We do. We actually want every missing persons case to end the way this one did, with Melissa being alive, and hopefully being in a place, both her and her family, where they can build on that relationship. And Amy says her cousin's case exactly, and respect our stance on this. And for anybody that is curious about our stance on something, like, we're very, very open and transparent. If we think about it, we can say it in a live like this, in a situation like this, we can explain it a little better. But these are the kinds of things that we can explain in a in a telephone call, in an email, and it doesn't have to be a public setting. It can be a private setting. So again, that's where we a significant resolution in a case that we did share on our social media page, but was not a victim that is part of our Faces of Unsolved Homicide webpage, those kinds of things. It had not been submitted to us by the family. So I know personally Detective Corporal Dan Watts out at the Jacksonville Beach Police Department. He's a really good guy and good detective, and I haven't spoken to him, but I'm quite sure that he was shocked as anybody to have that resolution. But that is certainly the type of resolution that we would wish for in those cases. So again, just a little tidbit, the Unsolved series on First Coast News accomplished what the goal of that series was, which was to get information, to get a resolution to a case. And it proved further that utilizing social media to share those stories is not only a valuable tool to the family, but it's a valuable tool to law enforcement and families alike. So we're glad to know that Melissa is okay. If her family needs us for anything, we would certainly help them however we could, even given the circumstances that now this definitely wouldn't be a case that we would normally feature or talk about. But when families are in need, we will always do whatever we can to assist them. So, Amy, I want to post this. It says, I'm praying for more information to come out on my cousin's case that will change her status. Carolyn Williams will not be forgotten. And Amy, it's really, really hard, even for somebody like me and in this world, to really comprehend what you are going through and what a family like yours is going through. That's why it's not appropriate for people to say, I know how you feel. Even other victims who have lost had their father murdered, like I had, we have experienced a similar situation. I don't say I know how you feel. I had a different relationship with my dad than other people had with their dad. I was a different age. There's lots of different factors there, but at the foundation is that we understand that struggle and how hard it can be, but we don't necessarily know how you feel. So thoughts and prayers to your family, Amy, that Carrie Lynn is found however it is supposed to be, that your family can find some peace. I have met with missing families of missing persons that have literally told me, when unidentified remains are found, they just say, I just want that to be my loved one, because then I'll have answers. This idea, this not knowing if they're okay, if they did this by choice, if they struggled, if they were tortured, if they're alive, if they're dead, it's traumatizing to these families, and we recognize that, and and don't wish that on anybody. We hope that you find the answers that gives your family some peace. And Derek says these victims and their families deserve the utmost respect from all of us. Absolutely, Derek. I mean, Derek does a lot of work parallel to what we do, and ends up assisting us in raising awareness for a lot of our cases. And your response to victims, Derek, is why we work with you, and why we, are appreciative to have you a part of our network of people. And so keep doing what you're doing, Derek, and know that we appreciate it. And it's comments like this that allow us to know that your intentions are in the right place, and you're not doing this for something else, for some other reason. Amy, Melissa's case gives us hope. And I wanted to share that because at the end of the day, that's what our organization is supposed to do. That's what we want to do, is provide hope. We don't want people to ever lose hope that their loved one mattered, and that there will be other people that remember them and continue that fight for answers for them. Frida and Clint and I sat around the office today, and we had a discussion about family survivors that pass away before their loved one's case is solved or resolved. And it was a really heartbreaking conversation, but also a very powerful one. And we talked about how at a certain point, the last close family member passes away, and if there's no one else that's taken an interest, or that family line goes away with that last survivor, who fights for the victim? Who keeps that case in the public and lets people know that that you don't get to give up on investigating that case just because the family has passed away or gotten old. So we really do keep fighting for that stuff. These cases, once they're submitted to us, we take great pride in featuring them and continuing the search for justice and the search for answers in those cases. So that's something that was really just dawned on us recently. And it was a very sad situation, and we had to acknowledge that sometimes family members are gonna pass away, and there's got to be somebody willing to keep that case alive, and that victim alive. And Amy, this is the Amy and Ryan show tonight, but I appreciate your interaction and the fact that you're engaging like this and sharing some of this with us. Carrie's dad passing away after she went missing, and that's exactly what we're talking about. And luckily, she has you that is continuing to fight for her and keep information out there. Hopefully you will get some answers from law enforcement soon about the status of that case. Let's talk more about it, maybe privately, and try to figure out if maybe there is still some way we can assist, or some way we can better assist. We don't want to see you suffering with that and feeling alone. You don't have to be alone with that case. But I do know, and hopefully, the Charlie Project, NamUs, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, depending on their age, Q Center for the Missing, Aware Foundation, maybe something like that. all of those are great organizations, at least from our experience with them and missing persons. They all do a really good job. Yeah, Amy, sorry, not taking up all the time. No, I appreciate the engagement and communication back and forth. It gives us a topic and something to talk about, and it definitely fits in with, that video that we showed. So, but hopefully, if you are a family out there of a missing person, you are utilizing those resources. There's another one, Bear Find, that posts mostly children, but they post photos of children at minor league baseball stadiums all across. I think it's regional right now, but they're trying to expand. And although there's not any minor league baseball going on right now, but when there is, they post pictures out there and have had great success recovering. Usually cases where it's a custody thing, where one parent doesn't return the child to the other after a visitation and takes off with the child, and then they've had good response to those, because some other child comes to the baseball game with their dad and they look up at the picture and they go, "Oh, that's Johnny from school. He just started last week." And amazingly enough, that's how cases like that are resolved. So Derek says, quick question. The term supporter refers to those who help through social media who are not survivors of unsolved homicides. Yeah, we consider that a supporter. We have donors, financial donors that don't really get involved in the stuff we do day to day. So, yes, that would be, there's lots of different ways somebody can support our organization. The easiest, the cheapest, and really one of the most effective is sharing our posts through social media. So it doesn't cost anybody a dime to do that. And it's extremely beneficial to us. So yeah, that would be a supporter. And then, like I say, Derek, there's other ways people support our cause. Sometimes they've had a friend or a coworker or a neighbor or a childhood friend that was murdered, that disappeared or whatever, and they just volunteer for the organization. They help raise support, attend our events and functions, honestly, and invite us to come out and speak to their civic group or whatever. There's definitely lots of ways that that somebody can be what I call a supporter. And I really just want to acknowledge that role. We talk about our survivors, we talk about our families. Hey, Karen. Hey, Christine. Appreciate you joining us tonight. But we talk about our families and survivors. We talk about law enforcement. We talk about all of these roles, advocates, that play. And I think an important role is the supporter, which doesn't fall into those other categories. You're not a police officer or detective. You're not a survivor. You haven't experienced this personally or closely, but you care enough about this cause that it's still important to you. And for me, I have always kind of been in awe of supporters that have not experienced what we've experienced. Obviously, it doesn't surprise me when someone else that's lost a loved one to an unsolved murder shares our stories, or reaches out and offers to volunteer, or asks to help, or makes a donation or something like that. That doesn't really surprise me, because we're building a network of those people that help each other. But how do we cross that bridge into the territory of people that have not been affected, that have not been impacted? And I think that it's really, really important that we find those people, that we engage them, and that we teach them that this is a valuable resource. It's an important topic. It's a public safety issue. And so reaching that, crossing that bridge, reaching those people is difficult to do, because why should somebody that hasn't been affected by this care? Well, we like to say because, it could be, the guy that killed my dad that's walking behind your loved one at the grocery store, or standing behind him at the bank, or lives next door to your child's bus stop. And so that's why you should care. But that doesn't always work. A lot of people do believe that this can't happen to them, and that it won't ever happen to them. It can't or won't. And we know that that's not true. So those are just, we're always trying to engage those supporters, those people that haven't been impacted, but certainly show the care and concern to assist. Christine said, you have featured my cousin Karen, murdered 2001, remains unsolved. Feels like everyone has forgotten, given up, but me or her daughter. Thank you for all you do. So Christine, absolutely. I don't, is your, your cousin Karen, is that up in Massachusetts? Is that Marciani, or is that what it is? I can't remember exactly. That's one of our first ones, if it is, that we featured, and I do talk to her daughter occasionally. In fact, recently, and tried to connect her with some people up in Massachusetts that we've been working with, and trying to develop some things with. So I hope that that even though it's been a while for us, that your cousin is constantly. I know exactly who you are, who your cousin is. She is never far from my mind. In fact, her daughter participated in a book that we, wrote a couple of years ago, called Grief Diaries, Project Cold Case. We, like I said, talked to her occasionally. Just recently, emailed back and forth with her, trying to kind of drum back up some more support and some business. I know the last time she had some media, they interviewed the district attorney up there, and that district attorney said, "Oh, we're testing some evidence and we're doing stuff." And here we are, a few years removed from that, and quite honestly, that shouldn't be a few years removed and no answer. Somebody should have called and spoken to you guys and told you either, it was a dead end or whatever. So, but just so you know, Karen is definitely not forgotten, and we will, continue to try to find ways to share her story and to get her information out there, and make sure that, if anybody out there, I always just think like, gosh, if somebody out there has information and they are, and they see this all of a sudden out of the blue on social media and a big push, they see it on the news, they see it in a book, like they go, oh geez, what, nobody's talked to me. I don't, how do they know? Why are they still looking? Like, I thought I was in the clear. I always feel like somebody sees those posts and they're looking over their shoulder, and they're like, just when they think that the case is forgotten and fallen out of the public eye, here we come again with another way to promote it and raise awareness for it. And so I'm always hopeful that there's somebody just constantly looking over their shoulder thinking, I guess it's not forgotten. I guess it's not going to go away. And, maybe one day, hopefully one day, they'll be caught, or they'll come forward and confess. You said you call the victim advocate monthly with no more responses. I hate hearing that. That just, it just breaks my heart. You families deserve to have somebody to vent to, somebody to bounce ideas off of, somebody to ask for resources and support. And if you can't rely on the victim advocate, I don't know who you can rely on. I don't know what else you're supposed to do. You're in a position in a world you didn't ask to be in, with no answers to questions that you're desperately seeking, and to have people turn their back on you that are supposed to help is devastating. But that's not all advocates. That's not all organizations. Definitely encourage you to reach out and see if you can find some other network that can assist. And of course, we will, however we can. You can reach out to Karen's daughter and get our contact information if you don't have it. If you'd like to speak with us directly and see what else we can offer. But I really appreciate you checking in and keeping Karen's memory alive, and knowing that she's not forgotten, and that we will continue to raise awareness for her case and all the others too. I mean, every case that's submitted to us, we go through and we go, okay, let's start here. And then we go, okay, now let's, that didn't go anywhere, but we're not going to give up. Now let's try this, now let's raise some awareness this way. How can we, what else can we do? And so we're always looking at new ways and going back to the older cases. With Karen's case, we went back a couple months ago and updated the spotlight that we did. Not really the spotlight as much as we added some pictures. And let's see if I can do this. I hope you don't mind me sharing this little bit. It's just going to raise more awareness for Karen. So hopefully you're okay with that. I think this is a good opportunity to just kind of show what we do and how we can do it, and that you can also share this information anytime you want. Like, once it's on our website, it's going to stay there, and we're going to allow the family to have access to that whenever they want, and they can share it as often as they want. So let me see, here she is. So if I click on her spotlight, give me a second there, and then I'll do another screen share here. And so here is the spotlight on our website for Karen. Again, this part was way back in March 2016 when I didn't have a lot of help. And so I was writing a lot of these, and there wasn't much meat to them. It really was just what happened. But we went back in here and we updated all of these, and we included newspaper articles that we found, that we archived and we created. And then, of course, family photos that we had that were provided by the family, and then any news stories that we did. So there was a media story that was done a few years ago, and then there was a podcast that was done more recently. And so when you go to our site, you can see that, and you can share that. I mean, you can literally just highlight, copy, and post that into a social media post, and it will be there for forever for you to share anytime you guys feel the need to share. So yeah, but that's, we have those spotlights, and I see Charlie is commenting to you that she knows what you mean, that her daughter was murdered in 95. And I want to say that, trying to scroll through. These are all the spotlights that we've done over the years. And I am looking for Charlie's daughter, Lisa Michelle. And I think I've gone past it if it's in here. But when we do these spotlights, we try to keep them here so that families know that they can come share this anytime, and that the feature will add anything to it. And I don't know if I'm just not seeing it, or if it's not in there. I don't remember exactly. I know we did a story with the media on there, but I'm not sure it's in here yet. I can't tell if I passed it or what. But anyway, all of these cases, and Charlie's daughter is one of them, are in here for families and for supporters. Again, anybody can come in here and click on a case and see, read more about it, can look at those old newspaper clippings. I see somebody, I don't want to get, let's see. I don't mind you sharing. Let's see. It's just saddens me terribly to hear this. I know how you feel too. My friend was murdered in 73, and the only one that has been working on the case is me. That was Karen. And then Karen said, let's see, isn't she beautiful? You guys are the only ones reaching out and helping. Well, we're not going to forget. I promise you that. Somebody said Kim Simon, and that one's on here. And believe it or not, right there, believe it or not, like we don't accept tips. Like, we're not in the business of, giving out rewards and that kind of stuff. I can't see it. Let's see. Oh gosh. Let's see. So, but sorry, I'm trying to find, how to, there it goes. It's sharing again. So, that's, Kimberly Simon, which, but my point was, we don't offer rewards, and we don't get into that business, but occasionally people do reach out to us and claim they have information, and we always pass that on to the appropriate law enforcement agency. Unfortunately, this victim, her family thought they had justice as a suspect was identified and arrested and convicted, and then ultimately was exonerated by the Innocence Project. So, that family then years later, I think 20 years later, didn't know, had to go back to not knowing what happened and trying to find somebody else. So, let's see. That video was on a loop. Hopefully it was helping now. So anyway, that's on our website, projectcoldcase.org, and that's under the case spotlights. And again, all of those cases, if you click on those pictures in the case spotlights, it'll take you to what information we have and we're provided. Christine's talking about how Karen's parents went to heaven without knowing. We have names of supposed suspects. And that's always a dangerous thing. We just had a case recently where a family had believed for 30 years that someone connected to their daughter was the suspect, and then DNA proved otherwise. And they've had to deal with that as well. The 30 years of, believing one thing and being very angry at an individual, and then finding out that it wasn't them. So, anyway, apparently my wife is using my phone number to, when she's filling out documents, because I'm getting a political text addressed to my wife right now. So, anyway, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. I've had a really long day, and I need to get home, but I appreciate the engagement and the conversations and the support and the appreciation that each of you show. It means a lot to us. I mean, Frida, Clint, and I, we don't do this for recognition, but we obviously feels good when families acknowledge it, and feels even better to know that you are getting somebody that's listening and somebody that cares. So keep that up, keep the hope, know that we're here, that we can assist you in however way, even if it's not an unsolved homicide, if we have resources, if there's anything we can do as far as, providing advice or names or, contacts that can assist, whether it's counseling, whether it's media, whatever that is, we will continue to provide that to anybody that reaches out to us. So thank you all so much for joining me tonight. ProjectColdCase.org. Again, like and share our stuff on Facebook so that we can reach those individuals out there that may have information on these cases. And we will continue to do our part in this this unfortunate circumstance that is what so many of us are dealing with. And so thanks a lot for everything. And join us again next week where we'll do another Facebook Live. Have a great night.